Okay, hi everyone. Number one, I want to say thanks for joining us. The Veterans ERG, the Employee Resource Group, is very proud to have a member of our group highlighted today in the spirit of Diversity Week. Patsy Patchin, who is a Norton employee, was able to participate in a very unique and neat opportunity known as the Honor Flight, which is a flight from the Louisville airport to Washington, D.C. with veterans from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And not only was she able to participate, but she was also able to be what's called a flight guardian, which means she was assigned or met a veteran and was with the veteran from very early in the morning till very late at night when they returned. And I just thought this was a very unique opportunity to get to know Patsy, where she's from, what she's doing with Norton Healthcare, and really dive into some of the nuts and bolts and the details of that honor flight that she partook in. So I want to say thank you to everyone who's tuned in. And Patsy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're busy. You said right before we started recording that you're always on the move, you're shaking, and you were just getting done with the patient. So number one, I appreciate what you do. We all do. The hard work that all of our colleagues do does not go unnoticed by myself and everyone else. I'm very, very glad to have someone like you on the team and have the chance to work with you as well.
Thank you so much.
Hey, so I'm just going to dive into some questions more or less about you first,
Okay.
and then we'll get into the event. So Patsy, where are you from originally?
Well, as you can tell, I have an accent. So I'm originally from southeastern Kentucky, a little town called Pineville, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So small country girl.
So so from Pineville.
Yes.
When did you come up to the Louisville area? How long have you been in the Louisville area?
I moved to Louisville in 2000, right after graduation. I was still 17 years old to work for UPS and to go to college.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So you come up here, you're working for UPS, you go to college. What brought you to Norton Healthcare? How long ago, or how long have you been with Norton?
I have been with Norton's for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I have had both of my children here at Norton Women and Children's, and my youngest was a premature baby. He was 26 weeks, and we lived at Norton's for 3 months. And just the care that I got, the love, the support, I wanted to be able to provide that. And Norton's became my home after that. I was like, I want to work there and give back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I'm trying not to be biased, but I'm at Women's and Children's, so I totally agree with Brock over there. So
yeah.
So that's what brought you. So your experience with your children and having your children is what brought you to Norton Healthcare for a career.
Yes.
That's awesome. To me, that kind of shows how I feel about Norton. Is from top to bottom, they kind of live that mission, vision, values all the time. And likewise,
and I live by it.
Yeah. They live by it. It's a real thing. And that's why I'm really proud to be a part of it too, in my aspect. So you've been with Norton for 5 years. What is your current role within Norton Healthcare? Can you explain that?
I work in the Heart Rhythm Center. I'm a medical assistant, so we're pretty busy here.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you to Keith-proof this. What does that mean? What do you do day in, day out?
We are on the electrophysiology side, so we're in the rhythm department. Every day I'm rooming patients. We're dealing with patients with pacemakers, ICDs, AFib clinic. So we see a lot of variety here.
Yeah. Wow. Well, again, I know that I'm lucky to be a part of your team and our community, just folks like you that, number one, do your job at the highest level possible. But then now we're going to get into also volunteer your time to work with other groups like the VETS ERG. So thank you for everything you do. Okay. So the VETS ERG group is an employee resource group that we support veterans within Norton Healthcare, but then we also have the opportunity to support local veterans as well. What about the Norton Veterans ERG group brought you to it? What interested you the most about that?
Well, I had already been really volunteering in the community with other organizations. Me and my children have. I've always raised them and myself to give back to our community. So we'd always been involved in vets. We were involved back home in my hometown with vets serving vets, and then the Wounded Warrior Project here. So when I heard and started working at Norton's and I heard about the ERG problem, I was like, that's a way I can spread the word, a way I can give back to our community, the way I can represent my employer and be proud of that. And just the work that you provide for us in the events, you know, going to the cemetery and cleaning up, you know, I love it. When I was competing in pageants just until a few years ago, my first honor flight, I got to go to the airport and I took my kids and they loved it. It was one of the best experiences ever. So when I got on with Norton's, I was like, you know, I want to get back to, and that's why I reached out to you and the ERG program.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. So this has been a part of you even before Norton Healthcare,
Yes.
Getting back to the veterans. And, you know, as a veteran myself, it's amazing the support that we have on many
yes.
levels. And not only, I'm always impressed and amazed in such a wonderful way that from our very top, from our CEO, Russ and Mike and everyone else working down that chain, they are such big fans and supporters of our veterans.
Yes.
It's incredible to go out to some of these events. Like you said, we go to the cemetery to lay wreaths in the wintertime, and
Yeah.
I can look over and see some very, very important people within our organization. They're in the cold, battling it, honoring our veterans. And so it's just an awesome opportunity and an experience to work alongside with them who just have a great support for our veterans. And okay, my next question. So your experience, can you tell the group about what role you took in an honor flight? And so I'll kind of explain to maybe our one viewer out there what an honor flight is. Again, it's a dedicated flight from Louisville's airport to Washington, D.C., Reagan, DCA. They fly in, they get our veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, they get the red carpet rolled out for them, and they get to experience a wonderful hero's welcome into DC to some memorials and events. And they are escorted by what we call flight guardians. And that's what you were able to do. So could you just kind of explain your overall experience with the honor flight as a flight guardian?
It was probably the most humbling and rewarding experience I've ever been on.
Yeah.
I had been to Washington before when I was a teenager, but going with my veteran and being there with them was probably one of the emotional things I've been through. It was very heartwarming.
Yeah. And so can you, without getting too personal, can you tell us a little bit about your veteran that you were assigned to? What was his, was he World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and just kind of what do you think his or her take on the experience was as well?
He was in Vietnam, and he was, how did he put it? He took fuel into combat.
Okay.
So when they would get out there, the tankers would need reloaded, so he would go out. And unfortunately, they experienced a lot of loss. So he was really emotional when we went to the Black Wall, and we were at the Veteran Memorial, and it was very emotional. And I was emotional with him. I could tell just talking to him and hearing in the crackle in my voice now just how emotional he was with it. Seeing his friend's name on that wall. Yeah.
And I think you and I talked about the significance of this particular event for our veterans. So, during the Vietnam conflict and the war there, our veterans weren't received home real great or really well. And as a matter of fact, a lot of them had a horrible homecoming because our nation's unrest with the entire war itself. And this welcome home was so important and such a wonderful welcome home to our veteran that was part of the Vietnam experience of coming back. And so this was a different one. Can you explain did he ever mention any of that? Like this is such a different welcome home.
Several of the Vietnam vets that was the one thing they looked forward to. And they were so emotional, just even before we landed, right when we were getting ready to land, everybody was talking and they were already starting to get emotional. And when we got off the plane, we said a prayer, and you could tell the composure. Someone was already starting to get a little teary eyed, and, the veterans and it was not just one person, it was multiple people, and me included. I was sobbing like a baby just because my veteran was so emotional with the coming home, and it was, they deserve that,
Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah.
100%. And from so on the welcome home side, so for folks that don't know, so our veteran and our team lands, from DC, and then the Louisville airport becomes a wonderful welcome home celebration where the entire area outside of security is just full of thousands of people waving flags and welcoming our veterans home. And it's really neat to be a part of for anyone that has any interest. And I will say, Patsy, when I saw you and your veteran come up, I got a little misty-eyed as well.
It was good.
Because I could see the significance for both of you on what this welcome home means. And it was humbling to be on the other side of that, welcoming him home and just giving him a real hero's welcome and being a part of that.
It makes me emotional even talking about it with them, just because, they deserve that welcome home. Their friends were there, their family, their co-workers was there, and just seeing their wives hug their husbands or their brothers, seeing them cry, welcoming them home. They needed this when they came home in Vietnam. They deserve that.
100%, totally agree. Yeah. If you could pick out a highlight of that day, what would you say the highlight? Oh, you know what? Let me go back.
Okay.
What time in the day did you start your day? That's really, I want folks to know that this is not a 2-hour thing. This is major commitment.
I had to be at the airport at 4:45.
Yep.
Not only did I get parked in the parking garage and I put all my stuff in the trunk like, you're supposed to, I got all the way to where everybody was to realize that I left my wallet. I had to run all the way back. And then I had to go all the way back.
Yeah.
So it was a very hectic morning, but it was great seeing everybody check in. The veterans, we were all sitting there waiting after we got checked in. We were waiting to board the plane and just hearing them talk. I mean, some of the conversations they were having, and it wasn't even about war stuff. It was about, ironically, one of the veterans asked another veteran what brand of hearing aid he had.
Yeah.
Which was great, Yeah.
We
had someone on our flight that was 100 years old.
Yeah.
Someone that was 99. And we had a flyboy. So it was a very long day,
Yeah.
Yeah. We got in around 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for folks that may not know, our veterans and our guardians, they meet really early and they are there in DC for one day. It's not where they go and stay in hotels. They come back late that night and, we call it the welcome home on that back end of it. And that's where I saw you and your veteran.
Yep.
It's awesome to see you. Obviously, I know the answer to this question, but I just would love to hear it from your perspective. If anybody had any interest in doing something like you did, would you recommend it?
Oh, yes, in a heartbeat. And I've talked to patients about, my honor flight and veterans, especially my veterans here. They get excited when they talk about it, or they'll see my badge or my pin, and they're like, "What is that?" And I'll tell them, they're like, "That is really a great program that Norton's offers, for their employees to be giving back to their community and to their veterans, who deserve everything we can give them."
Sure. Yeah. As COVID has kind of eased up a little bit, we've kind of eased in our efforts to support the honor flight now that it's back up and running. And, in your case, you were the first case that we were able to sponsor a flight guardian.
Really?
And,
okay.
And it was really neat to have that opportunity. And moving forward, we're going to try to sponsor more and more Norton healthcare employees to be those guardians and to have that close connection and meeting our veterans and supporting our veterans for that entire experience. And obviously the VETS ERG group's going to be in the back just cheering it on and supporting
I love it. I love every minute of that. Yes.
I don't mean to take so much of your time. I know that you're busy. I'm really proud to work alongside with you. And I am really,
yes. Thank you for your service.
Oh, no problem. Actually, I say this a lot, besides the title of father, veteran is such an important title that I've had. And I'm so glad to have the opportunity to support my brothers and sisters from many different branches and many different conflicts and wars. I'm just proud to be a part of that. And I'm proud to work with you, Patsy, and the other ERG members, because while it may not feel significant in one small setting, what we do does have a significant impact on our Norton employees that are veterans, but also our community as well. And we're honoring many, many veterans and their memories by some of the work we're doing. And you are right there. You and your husband are there at events. I'm so honored and privileged to work alongside with you. And I just want to say thank you for your support and your continued support. And I'm gonna close it at this. Again, the Veterans ERG Employee Resource Group, our sole focus is to provide support for our employees that are veterans, and also find unique ways that we can support our community's veterans as well. And I think we found a really great opportunity with this honor flight, and then with you being the guardian. So I just want to say thank you again. And for anyone who has any interest in becoming a member of the VETS ERG group, or even just supporting the VETS ERG group or any of the other employee resource groups, please reach out to me, Keith Cook. It's in the directory. I would be glad to set you in the right direction. I'd be glad to welcome you to help support our veterans or other employee resource groups as well. Patsy, thank you again.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
All right, see you at the next meeting.
Okay, will do. Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Thank you.